Oh, I see you are live.
We
We
are live.
are live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Obiama Martin, for joining. I'm so excited about today's topic. I believe that it is extremely timely. It's February. We passed December 31st, end of the year. So I figured this was a perfect time to talk about finances because we've ended one year. Usually we get to see what our financial goals, if we met them, if we had not, personal, business. Then we start to think about changes we can make for the year. So, I said, this is a perfect time um, to deem it Finance February. So that's what this will be. The kickoff to welcome to the Impact, where you will get real resources, real conversations, real people around education, entrepreneurship, childcare, parenting, all of those things that we live every single day. So we'll get started. I thought about in the journey, right? So we've had the daycares 13 years, and I thought about the journey and how far we have come, especially with decisions that we're making now in regards to how we can scale our business, go to the next level. How can we be even more professional, even more successful? And I thought about, because we're getting ready to connect with our accountant, I thought about our first encounter with an accountant. And it was like door-to-door salesman. He rang the doorbell and said, are you looking for an accountant? We're like, sure. Hired him. I still remember what he looks like. Hired him. Yes, we do. I can't remember exactly the full exchange. I'm sure he came in and we spoke and things like that, but sounded great, right? You need an accountant. He's an accountant. Sign me up. It didn't seem too expensive. But what I do know, usually you get an accountant and they conduct your taxes, right? We didn't have like a financial relationship, whereas though, we set financial goals or anything, but end of the year came, they prepared our taxes. It had to have been after about 5 years that we got notices and things like that in regards to filing our taxes. And I'm like, no, we file them every year. Come to find out, none of the taxes were filed. We ended up going down to the office. It was a whole mess to the point where we were starting to try to get some grants or make some financial moves, and we couldn't because at that point we owed a lot of taxes.
Oh
Had
my God.
it was like a lean whole. It was a whole mess. So I thought about that moment though, and a lot of times, when you jump into your business based on your passion, you just want to fulfill your passion, help people, serve people, but the business savviness sometimes is not there. And I remember too, maybe about a year or so after, they were in the news because of some type of fraud or something that they were being charged with, and it made sense. Like all of it made sense down to the door-to-door service, and I was like, never again. So do not hire an accountant who comes to your door, or please do not. So that
Oh
was
my
the first
God.
thing I thought about when, it was like things to not do. I'm sure we really don't have door-to-door salespeople in that way anymore. However, we still get cold calls and things like that. And I think if anything, the learning lesson, it really is educating yourself on business practices, professionalizing your craft, and getting references and seeing what it is that they actually have done, um, and then keep an eye on it, make sure that everything is filed. So that was my first story. I remember that. Now I know you've been in business 20 years, over 20.
I have, and I have had my share of accountants. Okay. I have had my share of accountants. My first experience was um we were referred to an accountant who was an accountant for schools. She did, like private schools, charter schools, and so we thought, well, she should be able to do daycare.
Makes sense.
Well, not so. Not family daycare.
Okay.
Okay, not family daycare. And so it wasn't until I attended like the National Family Child Care Association conference or something, and it was I'll never forget this. It was a Caucasian lady there who, and she wasn't an accountant, but she knew what we were entitled to as specifically for us being child care providers, us being in our home, in terms of the write-offs and the benefits. And like she just was like she became an expert. She studied it, was not certified or anything, but legit, right? And so we had her. My ears is perked up. I'm like, wait a minute, let me go back to see if the accountant who was legit certified with all the bells and whistles wrote off all the things that we were eligible for and all of the things, and she didn't. So I went to this lady who I met at the conference, and she did an amendment. She had to amend like my last 3 years.
Wow.
Yes, yes. So, um, to your point, you have to not only stay in the know, you need to ask questions, because every industry is different. And even going from family to group to center, having a school, having an after school program, your location matters. Your location entitles you to write offs that you may not even know about, because when you're in your home, even your home office, you get to write off whatever room in your house that you're doing business out of. And 20 years ago, I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that. And so even and I'm home now on Zoom like all day, so I get to write off, a portion of, and it's just so many things that we don't know and we trust,
Yes.
because I've trusted a lot of people over the years. And here's the other thing too, Ali, I think is really important for people to know about accountants. All accountants aren't equal, just like in everything else. Like all accountants aren't equal. And sometimes, so here's the thing. If you are good at your bookkeeping, for example, then you may only need somebody to file for you.
Yes.
But if you're not good at your bookkeeping, then you need to get a bookkeeper,
Yep.
or you need to invest in one of those apps like QuickBook or Waze, or there's also like bench accounting. There are a lot of services that are available today that was not available 10 years ago, 20
Right.
years ago. And then I also had the experience, and I'm sure you have at the level of business you're in, where I had to get a certified public accountant. So again, all accountants aren't created equal. So when you go from a bookkeeper, which is at a set price point, to an accountant, which is at another price point, to a certified
Yes.
public accountant, oh, you in the big league now.
Yeah. There we go. There we go.
You're in the big league now.
Absolutely. And sometimes we look at how much we have to pay them and not think about how much money we're losing or how much we'll pay in the long run. And I think that's what we end up. That's when we learned, because when we had to pay all those taxes back and the penalties and the lien and it truly impacted our business like for years.
Listen, let me tell you how I got audited by the IRS and had to pay back $15,000. Right. So yes, it never feels good. It never feels good. And I felt my stuff was so petty. So because it was over mileage. Yes, mileage. So petty. But here's the learning. also dealing with IRS and taxes, you can actually advocate for yourself until you get the resolution that you want, which I didn't know at that time. I think that we are so intimidated by the IRS because we know. I think IRS is like personified to the like 100th power, and they not even like after us like that. What we see is the people that intentionally don't want to pay taxes,
Yes.
and they go years, right? And then they get tax fraud and all that kind of stuff. That ain't us.
Right.
We law abiding citizens.
Following the law. We follow the law.
We follow the law. Right. And so, but when you hear about those things and you see those things and you see people on the news, you see, the police or the IRS agents coming to the job and taking them on board, you think it's 1 year. No, they've been tracking them suckers for years, building up their case. So the IRS really don't come after you like that unless you are really trying to get away and with some stuff in fraud. So what I learned though, I had the opportunity to talk to like the head of the IRS. I forgot what his title was, but he was like, "We want to work with you. We want to work with you. So you can continue on. Like if you don't like the answer that the agent give you, you keep requesting until you get the highest person, until you get the answer that you want." Wow. Like, no, you can go back and forth because once we got how far did we get? We got with the city and we had to meet with the person at the city, the IRS person at the city level or whatever, and that was really intimidating. And so we was just like, we gonna take whatever girl. When I learned that no, you don't have to accept it if you don't agree and you legit, because I had all my documentation, I had bags of receipts, I had it all. But in my case with the mileage, they was trying to say because I went to the same place every day, it was a job. It wasn't a job. Like I taught there. I was on contract.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. I would have known that.
Yeah. So now I just, now I track my mileage very differently because, but it's, and then there are other people, that have paid millions of dollars. But the bottom line is whether you pay millions or 100, it never feels good.
Never.
And you always come out of it like, dang.
That was it. All I had to do was. A lot of it is all I had to do was. And
yeah.
And when you brought up the point about the IRS, it's so interesting because my mom for years, because of the things that she encountered over her 40 years around taxes, it is literally to the point if she sees a letter from IRS, she puts it in a drawer. I promise you, she puts it in a drawer. And I'm like, Mom, because it is this fear of IRS and what they could do.
It's trauma. That's what it is.
Totally traumatic. Trauma. It was really traumatic. So now I have to get the mail. Just put it in the envelope. Give me the mail so that I could take care of it. Because what we're not going to do is IRS is not coming. It's not coming. And I'm not putting it in the drawer because usually it's just a matter of seeing what it is that they're saying they need. Make sure they get what they need. And then
a lot of times it's just paperwork.
That's paperwork.
Most of the time it's just paperwork. We didn't see this, but it's just so overwhelmingly intimidating that we just be like,
right,
we ain't dealing with it.
And then just put the practices, right? Well, put those things that we need to do in practice every day. Like you mentioned, QuickBooks. I remember the receipts in the Ziploc bags, right? We would have a bunch of them. So now QuickBooks has an app. You can scan it. You could just upload it automatically. We definitely have QuickBooks, and I do the transactions. I remember when I was in the Goldman Sachs program, that was one of my goals. And I saw an alum not too long ago, and they asked how my QuickBooks was, because during that time we had QuickBooks and we were utilizing it, but I wasn't uploading the transactions. So here here it is tax time and they need our information, and I have like 700 transactions that I need to reconcile. Yes, yes, that in itself. So even when you bring up bookkeeper, there's different levels of expertise that we need, and at this point, I am all for paying for all those services, those professional services, so that A, I don't have to stress about it, and B, we could just keep our business in order. When it comes time for tax time, my bookkeeper has already prepared whatever it is that they need. Plus, we're able to look at our reports throughout the year. You really can't get an idea of your profit and loss if you're not tracking your expenses or your income. And you can't shift your goals to say, oh, you know what, we need to cut back on this, or know those moments where your income is lower than another quarter, so therefore we need to make some adjustments. So a lot of these things, and there are free apps as well. There's paid apps where they could do some online bookkeeping, but those are the things that we need to implement in our businesses to keep IRS at bay. We don't want IRS, but also to just run a more efficient business too.
Absolutely. And that makes me think about the book that we read, Profit First.
Yes.
And so Profit First is a great resource to anyone who just want to figure out how to get ahead with not just with the IRS, just good practices, like just good money management, good practical things that you can do. So much so as a result of, Leah, reading the Profit First book and meeting with, my financial advisors, I decided, sound counsel said I need to go on payroll. Now, what was interesting, and again, it's important that those of you that's listening speak to a financial advisor or accountant or something, because you can have an LLC and never be on payroll, and it's all right. And you can have a corporation, an S corp, and all these different things. But back to your point about financial goals. So because I want to buy a single home, I have to now be on payroll, because when it's time for you to buy real estate, not a car, when it's time for you to buy real estate, they want to see W-2s. Like, period. They want to see W-2s. So, so that was just another thing, right? But it's going to help me in the long run, because I won't have to worry about paying the taxes on a quarterly basis, or, even at the end of the year, because I'm getting ahead of it. I already know. So here's the thing, as an entrepreneur, here's a hack.
We like hacks.
We like hacks, right? Goals, financial goals, and planning is so important. If you know, and Leah, I've talked to you about this exit strategy. If you know that you want to make a major purchase, for example, in the next year or 3 years, then it is in your best interest to decide with your financial advisor, accountant, whoever it is, how much you need to make, how much taxes that's going to mean, so that you can proactively be paying it forward. Yes. So then your paperwork is squeaky clean.
Here we go.
That's the hack.
Here we go.
That is the hack. That's how you profit first.
Yes. And Profit First, for those of you who are not familiar with the book, it talks about different accounts that you put your money into. You break it up, and you pay yourself. You put money in the tax. You put the money aside so that when tax time comes, you have money in that bucket. Then you have your operating expenses, and then I am totally forgetting the fourth one. It's the fourth.
Payroll.
Yes, payroll. Pay yourself, operating, and that I think is your main. It's your main account.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have the one, and then it goes into the other three.
Right.
Then you break off to the other. Yes. And that is, and you made a good point too in regards to making more money. I remember, when I did actually, because at some point I remember having a salary. I was on payroll, but other people, I was hiring more people. They were getting raises. I had never changed my salary at all, and at that point, I don't think we started talking about buying a home. So I was okay. I was comfortable, but we weren't thinking about the future or the next few years of what we wanted to do. But I literally remember saying, okay. I started having higher quality program. We started going up in the stars, the Pennsylvania high quality standard program. We started going after other grants, so we were making more money, but I still wasn't paying myself. But when it got to the point where the more we increased our revenue and I paid myself more, I was not ready for the level of taxes that I had to pay.
Girl. So let me just tell you this.
I have to pay taxes. I have to pay personal taxes, and then the K-1 for the business, because we were S corp. I was like, what do you mean I have to pay those too?
Girl. So okay, so and this is where smart financial planning comes into play. This is also why you want to be resourceful, and you can watch YouTube or you can read books, because we did Profit First, and what was the other book we did that talked about money too?
The 4 hour.
Oh, right, the 4 Hour Work Week, right? And so here's the thing. It's really about being able to forecast where you want to be 3, 5, 10 years from now, because what we know is this: those that are in poverty. Now, hear me when I say this, for those of you that are listening. There are a lot of people with money that have a poverty mindset.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people with money that have a poverty mindset. And what that simply means is they don't even have their money properly documented the way that it's supposed to, and they really just live for the day or the week. And then you have those that are middle class that really just live for the year, maybe 3 at most. But then you have the 1%. And the 1% is the group that I want to reside in. I want to be a part of the uber wealthy.
Here we go.
Like, because that's a whole vibe, right? I want to be a part of the uber wealthy. But here's the thing: that doesn't happen overnight. You have to plan to be there. And it's what you plan 5, 10, 20 years out that gets you there. And that's where that general wealth comes from. So some of the things that I've learned, Leah, as I've been on this journey of being more financially fit, understanding that you can have investments that defer some of those taxes.
Yes.
Right. Again, you want to talk to a financial advisor. You can literally spread your money out so that the taxes are not as much. And also you can utilize your corporation if you have a corporation. Again, you want to talk to your financial advisor, because it's not a one size fit all approach, but depending on the goals that you have. And that's really important. I can't stress that enough, because the other thing that I did at the end of last year, and I shared this with you, I started a trust, because that is another way that you can accomplish some of your goals without being taxed at the level, because that's how the 1%ers do it.
That's what they do.
Right? That's what they do. And so as an entrepreneur, it's time that we be more proactive in how we approach our managing of our finances, and also the investments, and just really think about, what is the life that I want to live 10 years from now? What is the life I want to live? And really have the conversation. Like, you have to. It's so many business owners and entrepreneurs who are not thinking about 10 years from now. They're just not, and they're not planning for it. And they're literally just going from day to day. Girl, can I tell you, in 6 years from now, I have such a plan in place where I'm just going to be living off of interest.
Passive income. Oh,
Passive
just interest, not even passive interest.
interest and passive income, of course. But like, cause now I'm on the road to getting doors and keys. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm getting doors and keys.
I like how you're talking. You would not have hired an accountant that came by the door. I like how like but no, seriously, and these are the conversations though. These are the conversations that we don't have. We don't, and that's why it's important to environment, the people that we are around, and seeking out these, like you said, financial advisor, right? We literally started the conversation about just an accountant, and then the CPA, bookkeeper. It's so many different levels. And I remember learning in the Goldman Sachs program that you should have a relationship with your bank. And I was like, I have been with my bank, the bank that we started the business with, and actually we still have them. My grandmother, that would all of our accounts was with Beneficial Bank. They changed the WSFS.
Yeah. I love them, by the way.
I mean, I remember having like a children's savings account, everything with them. But I said a relationship with the bank. Right? Yeah, you're supposed to just have a bank.
Right. You need to have a relationship with the banker, with the personal banker. Yes.
And not too long ago. So now they'll call and they'll come to the center and we'll have conversations in regards to the business goals. What can we do for you?
Right.
Let me tell you what you could, because they want us to keep our money in the bank. So, but we have to be able to speak over our money and say, this is what I want you to do for me. And these are the things that I want in the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years. And a lot of times we don't think about that. And I remember when you I was like 10 years, right? We don't think about that. So how can we reach that goal? How can, we all know that you need a goal in order, right? That's how we know which direction that we're going. But that was mind blowing to me at that time when we discussed the 10 years and 20, because I was more so thinking about, my planner goes by the quarter. So I was like, by the quarter or the year, right? You do your vision board for the year.
Right.
But, I'm trying to make major moves, and that takes a lot of strategic moves. That takes a lot of having conversations and connecting with different professionals, different attorneys. When we got Bustleton, when we expanded, being a part of the program that we're a part of exposed us to a lot, including a lease attorney. A lot of times, we find a place, we like the place, we sign the lease. But a lease attorney, a banker, different professionals to just have conversations and to be able to say, okay, if that's your goal, this is the direction that you could go in, and you have options. And that's what I think we don't optimize our options, and we have them.
Right. Well, again, I'm going to say it's probably just rooted in either fear or how we were raised and the conversations that we heard or didn't hear around money. Because, I mean, think about it. To your point, your mom was in business for a very long time, and it wasn't until you came along, there was a shift, right? But during her time, things was very different. So she did what she needed to do during her time.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep. But now here we go, and we're learning like the world has changed, and we cannot operate like it got you here, but it ain't going to take you there.
Here we go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And saving, because that was the thing too, right? Especially my mom's, generation, and just saving money, just putting it aside. I remember the saying, just I gotta have money for a loaf of bread, she used to say, and I never understood what that meant. I was like, we have bread. I was like, we have bread, but but like you mentioned, the investments and things like that.
Is your mom from the mattress era?
No, I don't remember her ever having money in the mattress, but she would have different accounts, and she would have saving savings goals. Like we would have the Christmas club, birthday
Okay.
club, and things like that. She was a big saver,
Okay.
even though she was also a big spender. Like she was not cheap, but she saved. She definitely saved, and her financial savviness it definitely did its due because she paid for my college. I remember that she did what she needed to do, but when it got to managing the business, because her passion, she is all about her passion to this day. She's not doing paperwork. She's
Right.
just like, not
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, we had this conversation in a meeting the other day. Unfortunately, especially in the early childhood education field, so many of us enter into it. We had this conversation, but so many people enter into it based on passion and not understanding business. We have to elevate that if we want to be seen as a viable business and move it forward, and really build a legacy
Mm-hmm.
in our businesses. We have to operate as business owners. So
Yes.
these are the type of things that we need. And I agree with you too. You mentioned earlier about having people. I've diversified my professional services to not only be people familiar with childcare, because I actually don't want them to only be focused on childcare, because I want to be operating like these larger corporations, like businesses. I still
Mm-hmm.
want to keep my mission and my vision, and continue to do all the great things that we do with children and families, but I don't want to operate how historically childcare programs have operated. We are a business, and we're going to show all the other industries that we are a viable business as well, and we're smart, savvy business owners. So,
Yeah. That point that you're making, Leah, is so important because I remember just my years of advocacy,
mhm,
right? How business childcare businesses were not set up. They had not positioned themselves to compete,
yep,
and for lack of better words, that's what it comes down to when we're talking about funding.
yeah,
And you got to be able, and the competition, meaning like how you look on paper, your
yeah,
documentation, and too oftentimes, um because of passion, because of just not knowing, many child care programs and owners have only focused on that one aspect, and they were not able to scale and grow.
yes, yep. And so, and to that point, something I'm going to be working on actually to offer people is we talk about, some people may be familiar with this, some not, but the true cost of care. And that was another one of my, I don't want to say failures, but that was something that I know now was not the best choice. And I know so many providers do it, is when it was time. So, my mom was already in it. So I'm like, well, mom, they sent this market rate survey asking how much we charge. What do we write down? Oh, you just write down the rate that they have on there. Just write down the max amount that they're paying. No, that is totally undercutting what it is that we offer, because just because they say, well, we'll offer you, or we will pay you $150 for each child, and I have not done my homework to know how much it actually costs to provide a service to this child.
But we're not taught. We're not taught to know. We're not taught. Let me tell you, that was one of the things that I enjoyed being part of CCDI back in the day, because the education was there. And that's when I learned about the true cost of care from CCDI. And for those of you that's watching, it was a nonprofit organization that really focused on helping child care providers stay in business, basically. And I had the opportunity to be a part of that initiative. And but out the gate, starting as a business owner, even, and not just in childcare though, I have to say, and I've had many businesses that still do, nobody is teaching you, not even when you go to school for business, it's not the same. And I say this all the time, the quality of your education is based on the experience not knowledge,
Right.
the experience of that professor. Because if that professor has never done the business or the thing that they are teaching, all they can give you is book knowledge.
Yep.
And so it wasn't until, I had all this knowledge, but I still didn't know what I didn't know.
Yep.
I still didn't know. So I was so grateful for CCDI. Like, no, because I remember going in, it was like you either wrote down what they told you, or you wrote down something less because you thought, here's the other mindset. You thought by
Yep.
undercutting everybody, you was actually ahead. I remember, people telling me that early on, like, oh no, if they're charging this, you charge this because you want to. No, that's stupid. That is stupid, is what it is. That is stupid. You got to find out, how much does it cost you to operate?
Exactly.
How much does it cost you to turn on that light, that
Yep.
gas, the water?
Yep.
How much does it cost you to open a door? How much does it cost to operate one classroom? How much does it cost them feed the kid? Like, nobody's teaching that.
Nope.
So yes.
Oh, it's coming. Yes. We need to, because there's no way that we can scale our businesses without doing that. Like it just does. Not only that, and you mentioned advocacy before, we can't advocate and say this is how much we need,
right,
or deserve, or we can't advocate for it. If we can't just keep saying we need more money, we need to be able to show exactly how much it costs us to care for an infant, for a toddler, a young toddler, older toddler, preschool. In each of those, it's a different cost.
It's a different.
No one's having a conversation about the infant care. Like they're starting to. Because
it's expensive.
It's very expensive. But we don't know that. And oh my goodness, if we're going to keep talking about I know another one is you find this building, you find this space, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is nice. I want that. We have no idea with the square foot how many children can be licensed. Will it even cover the overhead? Right.
Wait a minute, and talk about all the lease agreements and the hidden fees and the taxes.
The taxes. See, the taxes
on the building that you got to pay the municipality. Come on, that's another show.
That's a whole other one. Guys, that's going to be a show, and Miss Linda's coming on. She can write a book. Because that building she left has been vacant since.
Yeah, what's been like 10 years?
It's been like 10 years, and she had the building and the playground on the side, and she was paying taxes on both of those. And at some point, she was like, this is too much. I'm paying way too much, and it's been vacant ever since. It's like we have to do better. We will though.
Well, that's why we're here on the Impact.
we will.
Real conversations, real issues, real answers, real resources. Yes.
So I know we're going to be going through that. I'm working on it. We're actually, because I mentioned the other day in another meeting that we also have to take a step back from all of these trainings, right? Just the training and talking at people, but we're going to work side by side and pull out our paper and pencil, real CCDI style, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because we have to do better. We have to do better, because otherwise the way that most people are operating is not sustainable.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
And I think and I'll definitely after the video is completed, I'll pull together some of the resources to recap on the post, so that you kind of get an idea as to what we spoke about, and some suggestions and tips that we're referencing, as well as keeping you up to date when we'll offer True Cost of Care workshop, because that's real. And I think too, even if you are not in childcare, it's just applicable. It's the same way we have a budget for our home, and we know if we can afford the cable or not, or we let go of the cable, because the cable is expensive. I was like, we stream everything else on Netflix, but it's the same thing to know what we can afford, what we cannot. And then I know we offer so many services. I'm not going to take those away. I'm not taking those away to say, well, we want to make more of a profit. What we're going to do is we're going to charge the correct cost, and we're going to advocate for that. And we're going to do some other business practices. And that's a whole other show too, because we had a conversation in our staff meeting yesterday with my operations team around different cash flow drivers, which really is looking at even how much time a staff person is spending on a task. Is that sustainable? And does it make sense for you to be spending all that time on that task, which is a waste of money? We're going to be productive. Like, we have to be productive. So we could talk about this for episodes and episodes. Finance February, okay?
So listen. So for those of you that are listening, if this conversation has been beneficial to you, and you know some people that need to hear what we're talking about, we need you to share, because that is how social media know that we are putting out valuable content. So please share this video. And also, if you know that you need a workshop, you need a one-on-one, then you want to reach out to Aaliyah. I think we talked about this. We will put together something soon, but let's do it based off interest. So if you guys know that you would really benefit from having Aaliyah or both of us work with you to figure out where your holes and your gaps are, then you want to reach out to us, because we're here to help. We are a resource, and we want to make sure that we're providing you with real answers. And so stay tuned for some workshops that will be coming in the spring when this weather get a little bit warmer, and we'll probably do even maybe a webinar or something for people that are not local. But we need to hear from you. We value your input, your questions, your suggestions, and we are going to continue to have this conversation.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I'm excited. Thank you so much. And also comment some financial triumphs that you may have had, or some fiascos. So we'll continue the conversation as well. And like Dr. Obiama said, it helps us, determine what it is that you need and what you would like us to talk about, and then join in with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Obiama. Thank you guys for joining in the Impact. We will see you on the third Thursday at 2 p.m.
That's right. See you soon.
See you.